every neighborhood has its distinctive character in Buenos Aires. The pictures above, the first one is the cemetery, the very world-famous cemetery of La Recoleta, where the remains of some of the most illustrious Argentinians are sitting today, including Eva Perón. The second picture is the obelisk, which is an icon and probably the symbol of the city. Then you have a picture of one edification in La Boca, so that you can have an idea of what the architecture is like. And towards the right, that is a picture of the skyline of Puerto Madero. Okay, so now we can look at the other map, which is basically just, I wanted to show you another map so that you see where this area is in relationship to the rest of the city of Buenos Aires. So as you can see, where most of the attractions are highlighted, that was basically the map that I just showed you. So it was basically focused on the coast. But basically the Buenos Aires city as a whole, it's a huge city. And most of these neighborhoods are concentrated towards the northeast part of the city. So now that we have seen where every neighborhood is, we would like to see some pictures, right? So I love this picture about Buenos Aires, and then we're just going to throw a few others in there so that again you can have an idea of what you should expect on a trip to Buenos Aires. So Puerto Madero is the first picture in red. Then you have San Telmo, which is one of my favorites because it kind of combines everything about Buenos Aires all at once. And then the Prepi Recoleta, this is the part, as you can see, based on those buildings that I have selected for this picture, that kind of resembles a little bit of that Parisian feel on the city. And then La Boca, which is more like a bohemian center, as well as the center. I'm gonna then take you to another video. Maura, if you can click on the corner by San Telmo, it's like a very tiny video that it's hiding, just so that you can see one of these neighborhoods. The video is in Spanish, but it has really good visuals of the city.
Más antiguo que Argentina. San Telmo fue el comienzo de una gran historia para todos los que llegaban al país.
It's one of the most historical neighborhoods in the city. That's why I chose that one. We definitely don't have time to see them all.
Como si se tratara de un actor famoso, el barrio fue rico, popular, pobre, olvidado, redescubierto, transformado y finalmente vuelto leyenda.
It basically talks about the evolution of San Telmo, how it was poor, then it was rich, then it was remembered, now it's back to its standards.
Puedes aprender cómo se forma el país, caminando por la calle Defensa. Anotaciones al margen. Y se lee en cada esquina del paseo que seguro termina con una cerveza al sol en la Plaza Dorrego, con su feria de antigüedades y sus fachadas antiguas. Y por la noche, San Telmo te ofrece un abanico de opciones para que pruebes todo lo que define Argentina. Clases de tango, bares que vibran al pulso de la noche porteña y nos hacen sentir que estamos en casa, y hasta una parrilla, donde la carne es tan tierna que la corto con una cuchara.
There are 4 parks, tons of bars and restaurants.
Y en el medio de ese viaje al pasado y tradiciones,
and of course, the famous market.
Cantinas, y si somos diseñadores a la feria, porque hoy San Telmo promete ser el comienzo de otra gran historia, la nuestra. Los que elegimos este barrio y de entre todo el mundo decidimos venir a este país.
Okay, so yeah, that's one of my favorite neighborhoods in Buenos Aires. So now that we have seen the neighborhoods, what about do we do some site inspections, right? So we don't have time to see all the hotels, but we're gonna check a few. We have picked some of our favorites, starting with Faena. You might be familiar with Faena here in Miami Beach because I believe it's becoming so popular that it has probably overtaken its original, which is basically the one in Buenos Aires that has been there for years. Of course, same ownership, and the owners are Argentinians. That's where all the red and all that glamour comes from. So just kind of wanted to show you some images. I particularly love this bowl, how this crown over here, it's a water fountain. So it's always very original, very unique. I always say Faena is one of those hotels that are like a piece of art. Some people are going to love it, and some people are going to have a hard time understanding it. But regardless of whether you love it or whether you identify yourself with the brand, you cannot deny that there's a lot of that work that goes into the details with this hotel. And it's just a beautiful statement hotel. It's really good for incentives. They don't have that much meeting space, only 90 rooms, and they are all different categories. So definitely you're gonna have to be a little bit flexible when planning a meeting here. But even if you're not, it could be a great place to go just for drinks or to host a private event. The next hotel that we have selected is the Alvear Palace Hotel, which is part of the leading hotels of the world and definitely an iconic hotel in the city. And then the last but not least is the Four Seasons Hotel, Buenos Aires, which is located in the Recoleta area. So I will send you more specifics about each and one of these hotels, because the truth is that we don't have that much time to go over the details. So we're done with these hotels, and then we're gonna go and check some venues for whenever it is time for us to start planning our events over there. So one of the most popular attractions, forget about venues, in Buenos Aires is the Theater Colón. The Teatro Colón is not only one of the best in Latin America, but one of the very best theaters in the world, not only because of its beauty, because of the design, the architecture, and the acoustics, which makes it a perfect venue also to host a large-scale event for up to 2,654 guests. We recommend this venue for cocktails, event, product launches, or to really simply wow attendees. So I did think about how can I more share an experience for Teatro Colón without us being able to be there. So I decided to choose a video of an event that took place last year. Just a little tiny event that was done for the G20. So if you don't mind, Maura, let's go to the next slide and let's share a little bit of this event. So Maura, once it's been 2 minutes, we're gonna stop it because it's a long video. So it's we're only gonna see the beginning. Okay, so we're gonna share this video with you after the call so that you can see it completely. I think that this has been one of the most high profile events that has been ever taken place at Teatro Colón, and definitely worth the 30 minutes that it lasts. Another venue is Palacio Paz, which is a palace in the city that can host events for up to 500 guests. Also really good for cocktail dinners, product launches, and so forth. And then the last but not least, it's El Sajon, which is basically a historical venue where basically there's a lot of underground tunnels that you know, go back to the day from the history of Buenos Aires. So very interesting venue. I also have a video hidden there, Maura, that is inside of the complex. So these are different areas within this venue that can host up to 600 again. So the main venue, you can see it, it's at the patios, and then basically we can appreciate the space on an event setup that can be produced in one of the sections where most of the big events take place. So Buenos Aires is definitely a city to be experienced either as an individual. It's a city that, just like any European city, because it also almost doesn't feel Latin America, it's like the perfect fusion of European and Latin influences. It is also a great canvas for any kinds of, for a meeting planner to really design the perfect event. You know, that's all I have to say about Buenos Aires now, and then I'm gonna let Maura take over so that then we can take a little short flight for about 1 hour and 20 minutes and arrive into the wine region of Mendoza.
Fabulous. That was great. And now that you've been introduced to the entrance kind of to Argentina, to Buenos Aires, we're gonna, like Patricia said, take a short flight to Mendoza, which is the most famous wine region of Latin America, and produces about 3/4 of all the wine in Argentina as well. It's a city that was founded in the 16th century. It prides itself not only in having very clean streets and well-kept parks and elegant tree-lined avenues and things like that, but also the excellence of its wines and the beautiful landscapes like you see here with the Andes Mountains in the background. This is a short video that I wanted to play, which is, it kind of gives you an introduction to this wine region. See all the beautiful landscapes.
We're here in Mendoza in Argentina, and we're here for one reason and one reason only: the wine. With its rolling vineyards set in the foothills of the Andes, the Mendoza wine region is home to more than 1,500 wineries, and you'll really struggle to find a more beautiful spot for them. Long hot days, cool nights, low rainfall. These are the perfect conditions for producing wine in Argentina. Most wineries will give you a tour first, telling you all about how they produce their different vintages before the best bit, sampling a few for yourself. Oh, and make sure you try the Malbec, a fruity full-bodied red with a smoky finish. It's what Mendoza's famous for after all.
Which we'll be tasting shortly. I hope you're already drinking it. You get a nice view inside the vineyards.
Each winery is so unique, with some having their own art galleries and even holding their own concerts and recitals. It certainly isn't just about the wine here, but about the whole experience. Mendoza produces some of the top wines in the world, and the best way to experience them is by visiting some of the vineyards for yourself. Cheers! such a stunning setting with the Andes always overlooking you in the background. You simply have to go on a wine tour while you're in Mendoza.
So that was a nice little intro to just the wine trail and the wine roads so that you can get an idea of what it's like to be there yourself. There are some beautiful vineyards. It's an area that is completely surrounded by the Andes Mountains. The weather makes it really ideal for growing the wine. So the weather, the soil, it's a very arid soil, dry climate. I think they get like 300 days of sunshine in the year. So it's a perfect blend to produce this Malbec and some other wines that grow in the region as well. Some of these vineyards are very unique. Small boutique hotels are housed within them as well. Very luxury hotels that can host groups, can host very special events for incentives. They're all small, so for maybe like that elite top group of your customers or our leadership that can go to these little vineyards. This Casa de Uco is very special. I believe they only have about 16 rooms and can do beautiful dinners, as you can see here, outdoors, indoors. The architecture is absolutely breathtaking. Zuccardi is actually a very famous vineyard, very well known there. And the name, it kind of signifies a winemaking dynasty there in the area. It's in the Valle de Uco Valley, and it opened in 2016 with great reviews. It's won many awards, and they also have some great architectural accolades that they've won for this building that you see here. Entre Cielos is actually part of the Mr. and Mrs. Smith collection, and they also have a small boutique hotel. And here's a little video that I'm gonna play you so that you can kind of take a look inside this small resort.
We were supposed to go there too, remember?
Yes. So this week we were all supposed to be on a fam trip that was gonna, you know, do Buenos Aires, Mendoza, and even Iguazu Falls. But we'll definitely make that happen in the future. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but Malbec obviously is the most famous one that is produced here. Harvest actually just happened. It happens between January and March. And there are many festivals for the harvest. A lot of these little boutique vineyards that have hotels as well. They'll host different events like cinema nights, outdoors, and things like that. So there's a lot of celebration that goes on around the wine, especially during harvest time. And these are some of the other little lodges and boutique hotels that are housed there that are all luxury. Some of these only have 5 rooms. So they're very, very exclusive locations. This is just to give you an idea of what they look like. This is actually Casa Mansa is one of these like small boutique hotels that has amazing architecture. Everything is about bringing the outdoors in. And this is at the Cabas Wine Lodge, just to give you an idea of like what the view is from one of the guest rooms into the vineyard. And then there's also some of the larger hotels that can house some of the bigger groups. So the Park Hyatt is definitely one of the top hotels there, and it is 186 guest rooms. Some of them do have mountain views. There's a spa, a wine bar, and as you can see, great meeting space as well. So they can host some of the larger groups here. This is located in the city center. The Intercontinental Mendoza is 180 guest rooms, you know, a little more on the modern side. These are more of like the architecture that you'll see in the larger cities or more cosmopolitan cities. And then these are some of the great activities that you can do there, because there's not only wine options, but there's also everything that you can do outdoors. So horseback riding, bike riding, hiking, going up to the top of the Cerro de la Gloria and seeing the whole landscape is one of the best things to do there. Whitewater rafting, kayaking, as you can see there. So just a lot of different outdoor activities that you can enjoy there with a group. And one of the things that Vivaterra puts together is this great make your own wine activity. And it's a really interactive activity where you kind of get to understand the work and the responsibilities that it takes to be a winemaker. And so they start out with, you know, an explanation of the vineyard and the management and how that works. And then you're able to taste directly from the barrels. You're provided with 3 different wines after that, so that you can blend your own, you know, wine with 3 different grapes. And then the winemaker kind of helps you balance it out and make a really good blend. The final stage is that you get to bottle your own wine as well. And then everybody's kind of divided into teams, and there's, you know, a very qualified expert jury that gives an award to the winning blend. And then this is something that you can take home and taste at home and remember these great memories from your trip to Mendoza. So these are just some of the things that are available there. Another thing that they combine with that winemaking class is the empanada cooking class, which I don't know if you all got to see on the invitation, the great empanada cooking video that Patricia made. So definitely try that if you haven't already. Great recipe. And then there's also, you know, the little areas where you can go shopping for very local things, but there's also very fashionable stores that are available as well. And I don't want to take too much more of the time for why we're really here, right? To drink some wine and do some wine tasting. So I'm going to introduce our friend Pablo Piccolo from Bodega Catena Zapata Vineyards. And he is actually from Mendoza.
Hi, how are you? How's
yes.
everyone doing?
And before he's going to be our wine expert that is leading the wine tasting today. I don't know if you were all able to get the wines that we suggested from this Catena, Bodega Catena. But definitely, you know, if you have any Malbec around, he will be able to kind of guide you through the tasting notes and the flavors and smells and things that you're supposed to kind of have. So without further ado, I'm going to start with a video introduction that is very detailed about the history of that vineyard, which is very special. So let's start with that, and then we'll go into the wine tasting.
That these Californians had decided.
I'll go back to the beginning.
My family has been making wine in Argentina for over 100 years. My great-grandfather came from Italy at the turn of the century with the vision of planting a vineyard of his own. And what he loved about Argentina was the open land, the abundance of food, of everything. My father, Nicolás Catena Zapata, is known as Argentina's high-altitude Malbec pioneer. He revolutionized Argentine winemaking by planting where no one else dared to plant. In the 1980s, my father went to California and saw that there was an extraordinary revolution going on in the Napa Valley, that these Californians had decided that they would make wines that would stand with the best of Europe.
That passion for quality was my inspiration.
You couldn't just adapt what is done in Bordeaux, what is done in Tuscany, what is done in Napa, California to Mendoza. We had to start from zero. My father realized that in order to make wines with concentration and ageability, he needed to plant at higher altitudes where it was cooler and there was more sunlight intensity. And that's why he started planting higher and higher. At almost 5,000 feet, the Ariana Vineyard is the pinnacle of high altitude viticulture. Nobody thought that a vine would ripen at extreme high altitudes here. Not a Chardonnay, not a Cabernet Sauvignon, not a Malbec, but it did. I was actually trained as a doctor. I thought I was going to spend my life drinking the family's wines, not making them. Because Mendoza is so different than any other wine region in the world, the research really took at least a decade before we had the first commercially available wine. The Catena Institute is collaborating with other wineries to define the regions of Mendoza and to create a sustainability code for the region. We do over 1,000 microvinifications a year. And we study everything from the behavior of different Malbec plants at different altitudes, whether we want to plant in calcareous soils and stony soils, what density to plant Malbec, how to vinify it, what other varieties may have potential in Argentina. We have created the first ever in the world Malbec plant selection, which is called the Catena Cuttings. By planting these special plant selections at different altitudes, we can guarantee that each vineyard has even quality across the plants, concentration, richness, all the things that we look for in a high quality Malbec. We got this love for the land, this vision from my great-grandfather who came to Argentina with a dream. This dream is still alive in our family. There is still so much work to do. We never feel finished, and that's actually a big part of the fun.
Well, so that's a beautiful video from Laura Catena. She is now the person that is in charge of the winery, the fourth generation. Even though Nicolas, her father, still alive and still going to the winery every day, like these old mans that will never retire. She's the one that now is leading the path in Catena. As she was saying, Catena is the most famous winery in Argentina, and it's because of a hard work, a lot of research that we have been doing for over 100 years. So this put us in that position of the leading winery in Argentina. Definitely, if you go to Mendoza or even to Buenos Aires, I was listening at all the presentation, beautiful presentation, by the way, of my country, makes me cry I'm in Miami now. I have been here for the past 3 years. I have been working for the family for 9 years, but I have been in Miami for the last 3 years, managing the US market. That is huge, as you all know. But looking at all these images wants me to go back to Mendoza for a while. It's gonna be a couple of months before we can go back to traveling.
Yeah.
But well, here when you were putting this presentation together, they asked me to choose 2 different wines out of my portfolio. My portfolio starts with the classic line. The classic line is the label that you have. This label, we call it the classic line, and we do have a Malbec, a Chardonnay, and a Cabernet Sauvignon. And then also we choose another wine from the Alta line. The Alta line is this second one, the second label, that also we have Cab, Chardonnay, and Malbec. So the idea of choosing these 2 Malbecs that we are gonna taste today was looking at how Malbec can be different in different segments, I would say. The first Malbec, when I refer to the...
Yes. Share my screen so that we can see what you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The first Malbec, this one, that is the classic, what we call it, the classic Malbec. This is a Malbec that comes from all of our vineyards. Actually, if you want to go back to the map, that would be great, because I need to explain something about the map of your presentation.
Okay, yes.
In Catena, we do own 6 different vineyards. We have 1 winery that is made in one, I mean, all the wine is made in one facility, but we do have 6 different vineyards. They are mentioning in that map that was around there, that one. Okay, so that one, perfect. So that's the wine region of Mendoza. Going all the way to the north, you have the city of Mendoza, where you were showing the Hyatt Hotel and all that is in the north. Yes. Then, yeah, the first vineyard that appears is Lulunta. Lulunta, then we do have Agrelo Vineyard, that is La Pirámide Vineyard, is where our winery is. Going a little bit more into the south, we have a Tupungato region. There we have 2 vineyards. We have Adriana Vineyard, and Adriana Vineyard was the one that Laura was mentioning, 5,000 feet above the sea level. And the other one is in Villa Bastías, it's called Domingo. And then if you keep on going to the south, we do have another vineyard in Vista Flores, Paraje Altamira, and San Carlos. They are in the south. So out of these 6 vineyards, what we do is we play with diversity. And that's what we want to put into the wine. We want to do a microclimate blending. What does it mean? Basically, we pick the fruit from all of these different microclimate. They're extremely different. Like if you taste a Malbec from the north and you taste a Malbec from the south, or from low altitude or high altitude, that's totally different profile of flavors and smells. And so what we are trying to do with this classic Malbec is grabbing as many components as possible from all of our vineyards, and then fermentate them separately, do all the process separately, and then when it's already ready to blend, we blend the different type of Malbecs into one Malbec. What we're looking for this first Malbec is consistency, year after year after year after year. I have to tell you something that is very, 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 very important, and that makes me very proud, me and the winery very proud. During all this process of coronavirus, as you all know, all the restaurants were closed, and most of the stores were closed. But this label, this Catena Malbec that we have been working for many years and grabbing this and getting this consistency, is the SKU, is the wine that have been sold more than the other ones. People in this time, when they are worried over all these crises and all bad news, they just want to go and grab whatever they know, and they know it's going to deliver. And exactly this label is the label that have sold more than anything other Argentinian wine during these past 4 weeks. It's a phenomenal. I'm so happy about that, because it talks about the brand. We were just distinguished as the most recognized wine brand in the world, not from Argentina, in the world. And so we thank to that because it's something that we have achieved after 100 years. So the Malbec, going back to the Malbec now, the Malbec is a wine that is gonna be fruity. I mean, like whoever tells you that the Malbec is not fruity, that's something wrong. The Malbec have to be fruity. Then what happened? The fruit is an aspect that all the Malbecs from different altitudes have. What you're looking is to find the secondary or third smells or tastes, or the different layers, how we call it in the winery. So the first smell is gonna be always more fruity than anything else, but then we try to describe more what type of fruit. First of all, if it's fresh or a past fruit. Then we start to identify if you are looking, if it's look for the Uco Valley, from the high altitude valley, it's more mineral, more flowers. If it's from the lower valley, you remember in the north in the map, so those valleys are much more fruit forward and are more bigger, more black fruits, more than fresh fruits. And so this is the beauty of playing with different type of regions, and that we have the ability because we own 6 different vineyards. Everything that says Catena on its label will come from our own vineyards. So for this first wine, for the Catena Malbec, I already told you where we pick the fruit from. Now talking a little bit more about the winemaking, we fermented it in steel tanks, regular fermentation about 22 days. Then after that, we put it in French oak. It's not new French oak. We use second use and third use French oak. This will give a much more, I would say, elegant or lighter oak flavors. When I refer to oak flavors, it's all these chocolates or all this smokiness that the wines can have. So we want it to be very light, because here in this wine, we want to show the fruit, show Mendoza, show all these different regions combined into one. And so that's the idea. After a year in that oak barrels, goes for another year into the bottle, and then we release it to the market. So it's a wine that normally we release it, always we release it 2 years after the harvest. That, as the video was mentioning, it's between February, March, April sometimes. But March is the big month. I don't know if you have any question about this first wine or any comments. At least if you like it.
It's delicious.
Salud.
Salud.
Okay, so the second wine that we chose for today is the Catena Alta. The Catena Alta wine have a very special phrase on the label that says historic rose. That phrase for us is very, very important, because the whole concept behind the Alta line is going inside our 6 vineyards that we own and choosing which are the best vineyards for Malbec, which are the best vineyards for Cab, which are the best vineyards for Chardonnay. Once we define the best vineyards out of the 6, we go inside those vineyards and we start analyzing which are the rows that year after year give us the better quality, give us the consistency that we are looking. And so, I mean, we have tracked all the single rows out of all our vineyards. It's insane. In Catena, we do have 1 vineyard manager per vineyard. It means we have 6 vineyard managers. So there's one person that all his job, all the year, is being specialist on that vineyard, that particular vineyard. So they have to know everything, and they know which are the rows that year after year give you the best results. To those rows, we select them, we cover them from hail. In Mendoza, it's a desert, it's a high altitude desert. So we don't have these rainy years or dry years like you have in Europe mainly. In Mendoza, our biggest threats are frost, because we are very high in the Andes, or hail. It's like golf balls coming from the air and hitting your vines. You wanna cry. In 5 minutes, the whole harvest can disappear. In 5 minutes, it's insane. So in order to avoid the hail, we use netting. Basically, you have the row and you put like a netting, like a tent to the row. So when the hail comes, it doesn't hit the plant. And so to all these rows, the historic rows, basically we cover them all for hail. And then we do, if necessary, some canopy control in order to control a little bit the yields as well. Normally we try not to lower yields. We try the plant to be honest with us and give as much fruit as they want. But if it's a very new plant, sometimes they are very bigger and you want to control a little bit their production. But if not, we just don't touch it. Basically, we start thinking this Catena Alta wine many years before the wine come out. A plant, a row to qualify for being part of the historic rows, for us have to be 5 years consistency, and then after 5 years we can include it in the blend. This Catena Alta particularly comes out of 5 vineyards out of the 6, and in those 5 vineyards we choose only a couple of rows. I would say that 70% of that selection comes from the high altitude vines from the Uco Valley, and the other 30% comes from Luján de Cuyo, from the lower. It's very unfair calling lower to Luján de Cuyo because it's around 2,500 feet above the sea level. I don't think in a place in Napa that is that high. So our lowest part of Mendoza is kind of the highest peak of Napa, just to put you on perspective. We plant all the way to 5,000 foot. It's like being in Denver, in Colorado. So we plant that high. And you saw in the pictures that we do even have snow during the winter in our vineyards. It's what I call extreme cultivation of grapes. It's very extreme climate. What you're gonna feel in this Alta wine, in this Alta Malbec, is a little bit more of complexity. The yields of this wine compared with the first one are gonna be a little bit lower. It means more tannins, much more characteristic of Malbec. Then also another very important thing that you're gonna get here is a little bit more of the influence of the oak. Here we do use new barriques in the 50% of the liquid. The other 50% of the liquid goes into second and third use barriques. But here, because of the wines that have much more tannins and more structure, can hold more new barrique. The idea in Catena is never over oak the wine. We want always to do wines that are balanced, that they deliver. And again, playing with this historic rows, that's exactly what we do, balance. We try to look the flowers from the high altitude, the minerality from the south, and then from Luján de Cuyo, the elegance, the silkiness that you feel on this wine. And playing with all these components is how we get to this wine that is a very well-balanced wine.
Wow.
One, for me, knowing all the portfolio of Catena, I love the Alta line because it's a balance between of what you pay and what you get. We do have much more expensive wines and like single vineyards and single parcel wines. They're expensive. Then we do have the everyday wine. This one joins in the middle between a very good pricing for the excellent quality that you get. And that's the success that we have had in this wine for the past 30 years. We started exporting this wine in the 1990. So very proud of it.
I can't wait to try that one. I actually have it. I ordered it. I got it from wine.com. But I was like, I'm not going to drink the whole bottle today, so I'm not going to open it because I don't want to waste it. But yeah, so I can't wait to try that one.
I always recommend to the Alta one, especially open it like, I would say 20 minutes before. That's it. It's not very tight. It's not a wine that you need to always decant it. If you decant it, that's great, but you don't need to always decant it. It's a wine, if you open it 20 minutes before, it's going to deliver.
Okay. Thank you. That was amazing. Is anybody drinking?
Me.
Cheers. And I wanted to introduce also Cesar. Cesar Aguado is on the line, and he connected Pablo and us to host this little wine tasting for you guys. Cesar is with Winebow Wine and Spirits. He's a good person to know. For whenever you guys need any wine connections for your events or anything like that. Definitely both Pablo and Cesar are great people.
If you ever want to plan something in Mendoza, in Catena, call Cesar and he will contact me, no doubt.
Yes.
Thank you guys. It was a real pleasure. I hope you guys heard something fun and interesting from Pablo. Pablo's got a lot of great wisdom. And it was really cool to see everything you guys do. So keep what you guys strong. We'll get through this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so it's a little bit after 5. Let's wrap up with a couple of things. First, I want to give Kelly McAllister from Maui Jim the floor. She's going to reward the person who went all in today with her gift. So Kelly, you want to take it away?
Thanks, Whitney. Absolutely. Scott, I needed your hat for a skit that I did with Zeal earlier today. Really like that.
Thank you.
And Deborah looks like she had the best party going on. I thought that Lauren Dejmal killed it with the gloves and the tango background. And so Lauren is the winner of either Maui Jim sunglasses or Maui Jim blue light protection, whichever you would prefer, Lauren. I will send you the code.
Thank you.
Hi, Lauren. Congrats.
Thank y'all very much. This was fun.
Congratulations.
I haven't
Good
seen
job, Lauren.
Loved it, Lauren.
Lauren, can I see you? Can you? I'm just getting a telephone.
I can't see you.
Well,
Oh, there you are.
Maybe I'm.
Carol?
Wait. Yeah.
Lauren's up on the grid. If you go to
Okay.
whatever.
I want to
I'm
make.
wearing one glove because you
look-
can't type with them on.
I only get the little version. I'd like to see a full screen version of her, but no, that's not happening. Sorry.
I took a print screen, Carol. I'll send it to you.
Awesome. Okay, because we want to put you up on social media and give you some accolades and make sure that everybody recognizes your efforts.
Okay.
I also, because I was muted when I was trying to ask this question, but I'd like to know from Pablo and Cesar and maybe even Maura and Patricia, how can we get our hands on some of this wine?
Well, as Maura recommended, I mean, wine.com is probably your, I mean, especially in the current state of the world as it is. I mean, I would say wine.com because it gets delivered to your doorstep. They ship to pretty much all 40, I think the 48 states in the U.S. So they're usually pretty good. You could also find the wines at Total. You could find them at Costco. You could find them, you know, Costco depends how the season is. Sorry, let me get myself, there you go. And then any of your local retailers. I mean, the Catena family is probably one of the most highly regarded and on top of that, very available wines out there because for the quality. There really pretty much isn't anything that competes with it. And those will probably be the best places. I mean, it depends where everybody is situated, but those are probably the easiest accesses to get those wines.
Publix as well, Cesar. Publix.
Publix, ABCs. Yeah, I mean, pretty much any of your local retailers should have this wine.
And you know what? I don't know if everyone knows the Vivino app.
Yeah.
Right? I know like Catena has actually won some awards from Vivino, but it's amazing. And I actually found it available there. I ordered through wine.com because they could deliver it faster, but it was available there too.
Yeah.
So.
Last time I looked, wine.com was offering, I think, 25% off if you ordered $140 or something like that. So go there to the link we sent you in the invite, and you want to buy, you know, half a case of this wonderful Malbec, you can get some money back.
Yeah, another good thing about wine.com is they actually have this thing called, similar to Amazon, it's called a stewardship program. It depends on how much wine you drink. They also do sell liquor, so it's $50 a year as a fee. And basically kind of like Amazon Prime, and you get all the deliveries you want. So like, for instance, if you're going to go vacation in New York, or you're going to a cousin's house and you want to send some wine, you can do that. You could do the same thing. If you're going to go to a hotel and you don't feel like drinking what's at the hotel, you could ship stuff to wherever you're going. I've done it everywhere. So pretty much for $50, you could ship your wines to anywhere that you buy through wine.com, which is pretty neat.
That's
so
great.
they actually, it's a way of them getting people in the door, but it's proven that it's, especially if you drink wine and if you ship wine anywhere, then basically you're paying one fee and that's it, you're done. You never have to pay it again. Usually to ship wine, it's $50 just to ship a case in general sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow, great news. That's great to know.
And Cesar, tell them about your wine luggage. That is like the best thing ever.
Yeah, there's this thing called a wine check. You could find it online. It's basically a styrofoam shipper, but with a casing outside. It looks like a luggage. But you could check it into your luggage. And basically, it's basically a styrofoam shipper, but inside a rolly pack. I don't have it with me. It's stored away because I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. But it is great. We go to the Caribbean often, and I take it with me, 12-pack, and a friend of mine takes his 12-pack, and we have enough wine to take care of us for a week. So that's
Would somebody put a link to that product up on the chat box, please?
yeah,
So
I'll
we
put it.
can all-
I'll put it up
Great.
right now.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it's a really great little device, and it works really well. And actually, the cool part about it is, like, if you don't want to bring back the whole bag, you could just you could take out the insert, and then just get another insert whenever you get back to the United States. So if you want to check that inside your luggage, you could actually put it inside your luggage, and take it home with you instead of having to take the whole box with you. So some people do that. So I'm gonna put it into the chat now. I'm gonna find this link.
Thank you. I wanted to give people a chance also to make comments and ask questions. I know it's beyond our time frame, but I want to be sure that everybody's had a chance to comment or ask questions of Maura and Patricia. What?
Thank you all so much for being here, and we hope that we can welcome you very soon to Argentina.
I get there's a lot of comments over
have
here.
a request. Do we have anybody from Vivaterra still on the line? Because I saw Laura and Maria Emilia earlier, and I would like for them to say hello. But maybe they're gone.
Maybe.
Hello, Laura. Hello, Maria Emilia. Okay, they were here earlier.
Did anyone have any, Patricia, you had mentioned that you have supporting documents, maybe full copies of the videos, pictures of the hotels, that sort of thing. Have you?
Yeah, like that video, guys, for the G20 that they did of a concert at the Teatro Colón. It was delightful. I think worth it, 30 minutes. You know, it was last year for the G20 summit in Buenos Aires. You kind of find it randomly, but obviously if I was to show you the entire video, then we wouldn't have a presentation. So I'm definitely sharing that link. And my empanadas, of course. Who saw my empanada video? Because let me tell you, we're doing a quiz for a raffle now. And one of the questions has to do with the empanadas. So empanadas are just delicious, no matter where. But the Argentinians have a special way to make it. So they're also healthier because instead of frying them, they bake it. Just talking about empanadas make me want to make it again. I'm getting hungry just to think about it. Besides empanadas, of course, you know, when it comes to food, they really are really good when it comes to steaks. And because of their Italian influence, they're also really good with pasta. The food in Argentina is amazing. And of course, I first think about the food before I think about anything else when I'm traveling around the world because I'm a foodie. But there's just so much to this destination. I cannot wait to go there.
Yeah, so it's a limited amount of time, and you guys had an entire country to cover, so I know that's frustrating.
And we only covered 2 regions. There's still so much more.
I know. I also,
you know, it used to be that you do Buenos Aires and Iguazu Falls, or you do Buenos Aires and Bariloche, and I guess now Buenos Aires and Mendoza. Are those the 3 main split destinations, or am I missing something?
Well, it depends how much time you have, I think.
What about this? Look at my background. You gotta go south to the Patagonia.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of Bariloche a little bit.
Ushuaia is amazing.
Yeah, so there's other regions. It just depends how much time you have, because you do have to fly from place to place. So that's what you have to keep in mind. For shorter trips, then Iguazu, Buenos Aires, Mendoza is a great little combination. If you have longer time, then definitely, you know, branch out to Calafate, Ushuaia, where all the Antarctica cruises start. So, yeah,
I think I understand that the Bariloche is popular because it's so pretty, but it's a lake region. And one of the things that our DMC keeps telling us that I think it makes sense is that you can have a beautiful lake in a lot of places, but you cannot have the Iguazu Falls everywhere. You cannot have, you know, like, even if you go to Alaska, it's not the same as if you go to the Argentinian Patagonia. So think about what is unique about the destination, or think about even better, the fact that you have all of these landscapes all in one single place. So Argentina, it's a multi-destination country. It is far, but even if you fly there, don't forget you're still on the same time zone, which makes a big difference. it is more affordable because of their messed up economy. So it is what it is, right? So, well, that's just my take on Argentina. I love it, definitely. I think it's a perfect fusion between Europe and Latin America, between the food and their landscape and their beautiful people. I think that it should definitely be on your radar.
Yeah, no, it's a top place. I mean, great food. Never had so many filet mignons. I mean, I must have eaten 80% of my meals were filet mignon, which I love steak.
With a good wine, imagine that's it. You got any good wine, that's it. So
I also wanted to, before we hang up, wanted to do a little plug for Patricia's and Maura and Latin Plus, because Patricia has used this opportunity when we're all sort of figuring out what we're going to do with our lives to create a virtual cooking class based on the cuisines of the variety of Latin American countries that they represent. And Patricia, please share with us the best way to get on your list to be invited to participate. She does a fabulous job. She might as well be on the Food Network. She really has it nailed, how to share and celebrate Latin American countries through food. So, and also other countries as well.
So this is it. This is the deal, Carol. I'm going to turn 40 years old this September. In fact, I'm planning to celebrate that on Amex America if we're able to do that. Half of my life I have spent growing up in Latin America, and the other half I have been here. And I think Maura and I are kind of the same. You know, it's kind of like, you know, we are here, we understand the American dynamics, but we're Latinas living in Miami, which is technically still part of Latin America, in my opinion. And so, you know, we get it, and that's why we do what we do. I mean, I also do my Pacific World thing, in case you guys are confused. You know, we are a consulting representation company. And, you know, when we started working with this business, we had two clients, Naples, CBV, and Pacific World. But we were missing our own heritage, our own region, our own destination. So that's how Latin Plus started. The thing about cooking is I really like cooking. It's always that I always do. It started probably a few years ago out of necessity, because, you know, when I was there, I didn't ever cook at all. That's why I'm on all cuisines of the world. Dominican is not even on my top because, you know, it's delicious, but it's very fattening. And I didn't really grow up cooking in my kitchen. So as I start traveling around the world, I developed this passion for international cuisine, but not only international, but homemade. So I want to be able to cook things that people put on their plates when they are home, not necessarily the fancy Michelin star cuisine, because I'm no chef. Let's start with that. So I started doing YouTube videos, and then one of my clients told me that, like, why don't you do live cooking classes? And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then we started small, and then, you know, for the Singapore noodles, we had more than 50 people sign up. I'm like, oh, wow, that's exciting. So every week, you know, we do a cooking class. Yesterday, we did Colombia, which is, you know, one of my favorite destinations in Latin America as well. We did a sancocho stew, which is like a very heavy soup, kind of like a mixture between a stew and a soup. Then next week, we're going to do Taco Tuesday again, because that was really popular. And we're going to do tacos, but Baja California style, like in Los Cabos. And we're going to have one of the hoteliers involved mixing cocktails from Paradisos, Los Cabos. And so it's kind of like, you know, we are on hold, we are in pause, our industry is not moving. So what do we do in the meantime? Do we bitch about it? Do we complain? Do we just spread negativity about it? Do we just wonder about the future? No, we don't. Nobody has the answer. Nobody has a magic ball that's going to tell you what's going to happen. So let's think about what's good about being stuck at home. Spend time with the families, you know, cook some really good meals instead of having to eat junk food or having to eat things that you don't really want to have to eat, because of our industry sometimes pushes you to break your diet. So, you know, we're in control at least of what we put on our plate. And, you know, because of that, I decided to start this a strategy of how can we travel from our kitchens. Because one of the first things that I do when I travel to a country for the first time is to try their food. I take classes by, you know, local chefs, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So I will always cooking, and the only difference is that now I have my husband recording my cooking classes, and it's perfect because not only I get to cook, which is one of my hobbies, but I get to stay connected with the industry. And it seems like our industry also loves it, because some people are actually looking forward to our classes because it's almost like a way to take a break. The best thing about cooking, guys, even if you don't like it, let me tell you why I love it so much. I am a very intense person, and I tend to, think too much about problems and things like that. When you're cooking, you do not have an opportunity to think about anything other than what you're cooking. Otherwise, your food's not going to turn out good. Your bars are going to pot. It's just not going to work. So it really is relaxing, because you have to really focus on what you're doing. So join me on my cooking classes. I mean, our website, is latinplus.us. That's our, DMC, Latin American kind of thing. But we don't do just Latin America, because sometimes I have to switch. So sometimes I do Latin American for Latin Plus, and then I go all the way back to Asia for Pacific World. So the next class is going to be Mexico. And then the week after is going to be Thailand, which is one of my favorite cuisines ever. So, follow us, and let's cook while this craziness is happening. I mean, nobody knows how long it's going to take, but the one thing that we all know is that it's going to be over eventually.
How do they get in? How do they get a Zoom link for the classes if they want to join?
I do have an email blast, so maybe I have you on my list, or I don't. If I don't, go to the website latinplus.us and subscribe to it, or send me your email on the chat, or maybe Carol, just send me everybody's email and I'll make sure that you're on our list. We also have a Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, I can add you, because the good thing about Facebook is that we're always contacting each other. We're sharing pictures of what we're cooking, and I love it. I mean, I wish everybody was on Facebook, but that's not the case. So it's mainly Facebook or, the email. So in addition to cooking, because I realize if I keep eating the way that I am, I'm going to get so fat. We are also doing Zumba on Mondays. So because Zumba is such a Latin American workout thing to do, we started doing Zumba classes with a friend of ours. Then last Monday was Colombia, who had a specialized Zumba certified trainer doing Colombian style Zumba. Next week is going to be Mexico, and then the next week is going to be Costa Rica and Panama. So we got people eating and working out so that we kind of keep the balance.
Okay, that is great. Thank you. Go ahead.
Both so much for being here. I think Pablo has signed off already, but we do appreciate, we realize you had an entire country to cover, and I think you did a stellar job doing that. And you're both so effervescent and just charismatic, and we all just want to go there. And I think you've given us a great insight into the beautiful country and the diverse country of Argentina. I mean, from glacial mountaintops to arid, wine region, who knew? So thank you both. And if you have any questions for Patricia or Maura, you can find them through Latin Plus. You can find them through their Facebook group, or you can email us and we'll get your questions to them. All right. And we will see, hopefully, everyone on Friday at 4 o'clock. We have a special guest, Mike Dominguez from Alhi, who's going to be talking about what's going on in our industry, and he'll be fielding questions, what's on the other side of all this. So we look forward to seeing you Friday at 4. And in the meantime, salud. Cheers.
Salud. Salud. Next week, we're going to Aspen, everybody, so get your mountain gear out.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you all. Thank you, ladies.
Bye. Thanks for the hats. Bye.